We apparently can now estimate just how much rental pricing algorithms are actually screwing over Americans with astronomical rent prices and rent hikes, thanks to a new report that came out from the Biden administration. So I'm glad that they at least researched this. I wish something was done about it before Biden left office, but nonetheless, bear with us as we give you the details, because those very algorithms might be costing you as much as an extra $100 a month on your rent. So this report focuses on a specific company called RealPage, which we've actually done some extensive coverage of on this show. And here's what RealPage does in their own words. An ebook produced by RealPage says that the company allows corporate landlords who are technically competitors to work together to make us all more successful in our pricing. RealPage bragged that landlords that use its software continually outpace the market in good times and bad. Outpacing the market in good times and bad means maximizing profits for the landlords in good times and bad, okay? So with that in mind, the landlords who sign up for RealPage have to agree to some things, okay? They have to agree to share the following information for their properties, including occupancy rates, rents charged for each unit and each floor plan, lease terms, amenities, and move-in dates, move-out dates. Now, RealPage then uses that information to recommend pricing for units. RealPage even has a feature called Autopilot that lets the software set rent prices without any human approval or intervention. So a good way to think about this is basically landlords coming together with this software and colluding on rent prices. So if they all agree to hike up rents a certain amount, well, then what does that do? That kind of takes the competitiveness in the rental market out of the equation, because all these landlords are working together using the software to set their prices at certain rental prices. So deviation from the AI optimized price frequently requires approval from a RealPage pricing advisor or an internal RealPage trained revenue manager, and often approval from senior management of the building owner. So a former leasing agent at Lincoln Property Company, one of the landlords named in a class action lawsuit, said that a deviation requests were rejected almost 99% of the time, and that Lincoln's corporation office would reiterate that RealPage's rates are what they are. So the other thing about this is when a landlord decides to kind of deviate from what RealPage is recommending for rental prices, there's like a punitive nature in response to that. And so the more landlords that use RealPage in a given area, the more oppressive the software becomes, because there's a higher number of landlords that are kind of colluding with one another in regard to fixing rental prices above what the market rate would be if they weren't colluding with one another and if they were actually competing against one another for rental prices. And by the way, what makes this even more possible is the lack of rental units available. So the housing shortage coupled with this technology makes it easier for them to hike up rent prices even more than they would be even with just the low stock of rental units alone. The Biden administration's report focuses on 2023 specifically, and here's what they found based on data that they compiled from that year. So they found that coordinated rents from algorithmic pricing cost renters in algorithm utilizing units $70 a month, or 4% of rent on average nationally. And then in 6 major metros, the cost exceeds $100 a month. So the cost to renters in 2023, according to this report, was approximately $3.8 billion more because of RealPage and how it allows these landlords in certain areas of the country to collude with one another to fix prices. So let's take a look at this chart to give you some more information. What this chart shows is basically estimates the average monthly cost of price fixing softwares or software in specific areas. So Atlanta happens to top the chart at $181 additional dollars per month, followed by Denver, Dallas, Washington, D.C., and Riverside. meaning Riverside, California. And so in Riverside, California, it's an additional $110. Atlanta, as I mentioned, $181. At the lower end of the spectrum for now, you have New York at $17. So keep those places in mind as we read the next statistic. According to the Council of Economic Advisors, nearly 1 in every 4 rental in the multifamily housing sector uses a RealPage pricing algorithm. In some metropolitan areas, including Atlanta and Dallas, more than 50% of multifamily units use RealPage to set prices. So I remember when we were first covering this story, Cenk, this type of software, these algorithms haven't really spread as far and wide as they have in recent years, but it appears that this is becoming more and more of an issue. And again, the more landlords who sign up and use these algorithms, the more likely it is that you're going to see rent prices explode even further than they already have.
Yeah. So I think that my analysis of this falls into 2 different buckets. First, let's talk about why they do it and how inevitable it is. So is it okay to do market comparisons? Hey, how much is the building across the street charging for rent? Of course that's okay. That's the most normal business practice you've ever seen. Almost everyone in real estate has done that in some way, shape, or form at some point, and they should. So that's point 1. Number 2, if you allow an AI algorithm to do this at scale, so you don't have to go apartment building to apartment building, and you could know with great certainty where you can set prices, will people do that? Yes, definitely inevitable, absolutely inevitable. Because if you could charge $100 more per month for everyone who rents with you, if you care about making a profit, you're definitely going to do that, right? No one's going to turn that down voluntarily. So I understand why it happens. I understand where it came from, and I understand how inevitable it is. So then the next question is, should we allow that? Now, if you're a right winger and you go, oh, which no way, the government shouldn't get involved, free market, baby. No, you're misunderstanding free markets. Adam Smith explained this at the very beginning in The Wealth of Nations, where he explained that the government is necessary for capitalism to work because it must prevent monopolies and oligopolies. Why do monopolies form? Because eventually companies realize, hey, if I drive more of my competitors out, even if I overpay for their businesses in the short term, in the long term, I'll be able to jack up my prices so much that it'll easily cover what I'm using to buy up the rest of the industry. Monopolies are very, very successful from a profit-making perspective. But if you don't stop them, they crush competition and the free markets and capitalism. So you must regulate. So in this situation, what it's doing is it's setting up a de facto oligopoly, not one company, but a handful of companies that run the market through this AI program, right? Now, how can you know if it's a legal one or one that borders on or crosses the border of illegal? Well, if I was a regulator, the thing that I would look for is, can you use this app and then go, oh, everyone else is charging X. I'll charge $50 less and I'll get more business, right? That would be free market, competition, capitalism, etc. But in this case, it appears that that is greatly frowned upon. And so I'm going to read you a part of the quote from this article here so that you get a sense of how it's frowned upon. They say deviation from the AI optimized price frequently requires, quote, approval from a RealPage pricing advisor or an internal RealPage trained revenue manager. And it goes on and on. Basically what that means is, guys, you're not really allowed to deviate. And if you deviate, you're gonna have to check with them. Why do I have to check with them? I own the building. You're running some rando app that I'm using. I don't have to check with Facebook before I go and take an action in the real world because I have a Facebook app, right? No, this is saying you gotta check with us because we're trying to keep prices at a certain number. Boom, that's an oligopoly, that's illegal, and that's why you should take action against it. And by the way, and what does it cost the consumers? See, it's a perfect example of what's wrong with limiting competition. basically what Anna showed you, that chart, equals roughly about $100 a month. Jesus, guys, that's over $1,000 a year that all these companies are taking out of our pockets because they're basically have set up a de facto oligopoly. That's exactly what the government should be guarding against.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.